Thank you everyone for coming to this panel. Thank you, Cass, also for bringing me here on the stage with these amazing professionals. I'm glad to be here. And I believe most of you they have participated into the Cass, so most of you know about them. But I would like to you briefly introduce yourself for the people that we have here. Okay, maybe Lyssa, you can start.
Sure. Hi, I'm Lyssa Adkins. This sounds really hot, huh? Yeah. I help people work in teams. I help unknot really hard problems in organizations that usually have nothing to do with technology and everything to do with people. And I'm championing women in Agile because it's our time to lead, ladies.
Okay, good morning. My name is Arie from Bennekum, one of the authors of the Agile Manifesto. And at Humanity, I'm thought leader. And at Humanity, we do international Agile transformations.
Yeah. I'm John Barrat. Oh, it's loud. I'm ex-Army, and this time my real passion is Agile coaching and professionalizing the world of Agile coaching. And I help run a site called whatisagilecoaching.org, where you can find some information about that. Hi all, my name is Guillermo Lopez. I'm leading the Agile practice in Accenture Digital in Iberia.
Thank you.
And Abraham, for you to know and for everyone else to know, I can't hear most of what we're saying.
Yeah, it's not
up
easy
here.
for us.
Yeah. So we're just going to have to be very diligent and make sure we're not misunderstanding. Yeah.
Yeah, we can maybe put it closer?
No,
or
it's the acoustic.
Yeah. Okay.
We need that speaker to come back to us.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Hey.
No nos oímos bien entre nosotros, pero que no nos oímos bien entre nosotros, porque nos retumba un poco.
Okay, so I will bring some questions to the table, okay? But if you want to discuss each other, not only answer me, just feel free. I'm up to you to conduct the discourse, okay? Mm-hmm. And we will try to leave some time at the end if any of you have any question, okay? Yeah, exactly. So be present, be ready, and think about the question you may have, okay? So I would like to start with a maybe open topic that is about the challenge the company have, okay, with our digital context that we are right now. With this fast pace, this extremely quick change we have, what do you think are the main challenges the company are facing? Please, Arie.
Okay, the main challenges companies, really this depends on what kind of company you are, right? But what I know is if you have an organization, we talked yesterday about solid and liquid organizations, and if those kind of organizations that are frozen in bureaucracy, they have a challenge in terms of survival, because you have to be able to adapt to all those changes out there, and if you don't get that capability really fast, competition will pass you by left and right, and you will be in serious trouble. So I think bureaucracy and having all the old rules and regulations replaced, that's one of the most important ones you have.
Yeah.
I think just building on that, I work with a lot of organizations, and the main bottleneck seems to be on deployment. So there's a lot of governance still around how to get code into production. And it doesn't matter how much work we do as coaches in the middle bit of the development, if the old system of how to deploy into production is still there, our value is somewhat limited.
I've had a conversation just this morning, and just that we were talking about solid and liquid organization, and maybe we make our first try to share. The point is, we are living in a liquid modernity. There's someone called Zygmunt Bauman, a sociologist, that also mentioned this, because the way we work, our relationships, some years ago, 34 years ago, people started in a company and made the entire life in the company, or met someone, get married for their entire life. But now everything is changing. It's something, the modernity is liquid. Zygmunt Bauman talked about this. So as the modernity is liquid, everything is completely changing. People need experience, strong experiences. And at the same time, technology is exponential. So if we combine this, the companies are trying to be liquid, from solid to liquid, to really have the opportunity to quickly adapt and provide this amazing experience to people. But the modernity is who is pulling the reality. No? Nowadays, the transformation is led by the people is asking that, because the modernity is already liquid.
I think, I think the transformation is being led by the people. And that's why I think a lot of current organizations will die. And they probably need to sooner rather than later.
In my opinion, and you see those organizations that stay away from digital, that stay away from modern leadership or whatever you want to, because agile is a word, right? And I think the word will vanish, but the thing behind it, where you are as an organization, in the terms of being able to adapt and respond to what's happening out there, it means that you need to have a workforce that's loyal, a workforce that's open to learning and reflect, and that's the kind of the next step that will happen. And if you're not doing this, people will have plenty of places to go.
That's right.
And to have a nice job, instead of being killed and choked by the rules and regulations of the old school management layers.
Yeah, I often think, what are we spending all of our time doing as Agilists? If we're helping these old organizations stay alive, when what really needs to happen in the panarchy cycle, like we saw in Heidi's talk this morning, maybe some of these organizations actually do need to die and can liberate space and the potential of the people in the organizations to go do something where they can actually do Agile. Do it the way they want to do it.
I mean, it's even worse than that. What we're seeing is these big organizations buying agile, smaller organizations and thinking that will save them, that this smaller organization will help them be agile. But of course, what happens, in my experience, is that the smaller organization gets absorbed by the larger one and loses that agility. And so this is slowing down this death of the large hippos that we're seeing in the
Yeah, and I like to call the middle management layer, the layer that's getting thinner and smaller if you go to an agile environment. I like to call the middle management layer the permafrost, right? And the permafrost has so much power. And I want to give you an example. You asked about big challenges, right? I was, it's a little over a year ago, I was in Central Europe in one of the bigger banks, and they had like this massive all managers meeting. So it was like 500-600 managers in a room like this, beautiful building, and marble and brass, and it looked awesome. And I had to do my talk right after the CEO. And the CEO was a gentleman, close to 65, and he is a visionary. And he had this awesome talk about the future and also about your responsibility, paying back to society and agile, how it would help to get the needs from the people in the street in, and as a bank to be able to respond. And I thought, wow, this is cool. So I went on stage and I did my talk and I had a good time. After the talk, I went to the video team, which was from the company themselves, and I said, your CEO, that's a cool guy, he has a vision. And then one of them said, listen, we know he has, but you know what the middle management, the layer just, C-1 said, it's just 2 years and then he's gone. And that's the power of the permafrost.
They can wait it out.
With, right? Who of you is from the permafrost? Nobody, right? Nobody dares to say yes now.
I was just going to say, I don't want to be here bashing that permafrost either. I was in a bid the other day and someone asked, well, what would you do if one of these middle management didn't want to be coached or didn't want to change? And why would they? They've worked in a certain way that's worked for them for 20, 30 years. And we're expecting them just to change overnight just because we say Agile's an awesome thing and will change your organization. And as we know, a mindset doesn't change overnight, and a mindset only changes through seeing actions, and those actions being positive or negative, and that changing your belief system, which then changes your mindset.
And Gustavo has made a great presentation before. He was talking about this kind of leadership, this kind of motivation 3.0, intrinsic one. So is this kind of thing that is already happening, no? To people moving, trying to lead this new way of being, Because I believe digital transformation is related to things to do, but on the layer to support this digital transformation is how we transform the being of the organization, how people act, the mindset. Agile is a mindset or whatever, but in the digital world and liquid modernity is like the way to lead.
I think we all just need to be a lot more patient. And I'm not very good at that, so.
No, that's not my competency.
Yeah.
So, as you have said, companies need to transform. They start doing things with new technology as blockchain or using new channels as voice recognition, for example. But it's not about to do things, it's about to be.
Yeah.
So we change the perspective to be, we are talking about people. And you have said about leadership, is that make sense, leadership as a layer that we have seen many years, the layer of leadership? If we, the leader or the companies delegate the authority, the responsibility, the commitment from the leaders to the teams, where is the leadership? Is everywhere in the companies? Lyssa?
Yeah, well, it is everywhere in the companies. I think this is what leaders are finding out now, is that a lot of the good ideas that change the organization aren't necessarily coming from their vision. They're coming from the people in the organization that are closest to the problem, especially those organizations where customer intimacy is a valid business strategy. The ideas of where the product's going are not coming from the top leadership. They're coming from the little L leaders all throughout the organization. And I think it is time for all of us little L leaders to take up our leadership and to really expand our capabilities in sense and respond kind of leadership, which is what we need for everything we're talking about with Agile.
Yeah, and I think leadership has a double role, because in the new organization, this is what you need from leadership. A different style, facilitative to the teams, facilitative to the workforce, but also in the transformation process itself, getting there. The role of leadership is the make or break in any transformation. And if you look at a simple agile transformation, you know that you have to break down silos, you have to break down bureaucracy, decision-making process, standards for documentation. You cannot get there without the support and leadership of the leadership team. They have to break that ice. There's no one else in the workforce that can break the bureaucracy, because in bureaucracy they have all those people. You have the king of analysis and the queen of test, and those kind of people, and they have children at university. They protect their situation. They have a mortgage, right? But you have to get that kind of awareness in the transformation itself as well.
And that's where job security comes in, not role security.
Absolutely.
So we help and support people to find a role that's for them,
I
but
love
we
that
have to offer job security.
I love that distinction.
Yeah, there's
Job security, not, wait, which one was it?
Job security,
not role security. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to cope with uncertainty and a complexity that is involved in a digital context, it's impossible if there is no safety in the companies. So anyone who can lead and take decisions, so anyone is able to lead each day and to take a decision if the environment is safe. So it's this kind of transformation in the way of being that there is no one people or little people who decides, because it's impossible, because things are changing constantly and quickly. So if we want to survive and cope with this complexity and uncertainty, anyone has the opportunity and the responsibility to take decisions, and the environment has to enable this opportunity to break the rules with care and take decisions.
Yeah, I'm realizing right now, when you talked yesterday about liquid organization, that you talk about liquid data or liquid product and so on. When you played the video yesterday, there was not single bear leading.
Absolutely.
And this harmony, but it works. So it's a kind of liquid leadership also?
Yeah, because there were thousands of birds, starlights moving all together, synchronized one, but there's no one leader there. because all of them understand the purpose. They are making this to survive, because otherwise they are small birds, and the eagle, woof, that is the bird, but all together, small people, talented people, strongly interconnected, sharing the same purpose, taking decisions, showing the entire world. And this is the kind of liquid organization where, okay, if we all see the purpose, we are in a safe environment, we can take our own decisions in our environment every day, moving towards our purpose. This is this kind of thing.
I've seen, you're reminding me of, by the way, I was so inspired by that video. I love it. I've seen that in real life.
Yeah.
Where they do that, and I've always been amazed. And, I forget it. I forgot what I was going to say now. Okay.
Okay, you have talked at Lyssa talked yesterday, leading to a purpose, not leading with results driven, but leading to a purpose. It's like a higher way to see these companies. But what are the drivers that the current leadership need to have or need to challenge to transform themselves? Because we cannot ask for the leaders for the future. You say, we are the leaders of the future, okay, but we have big companies now with current leaders now. How can we transform them? What are the drivers they have to transform?
So people don't change unless there is pain or opportunity. And so we're talking about anyone in an organization, including the executives. And the other problem, though, is that people can live with a lot of pain, right? And people can keep doing the same things over and over again that they know are not going to work, but they don't know a different way. They're just kind of like they're in a groove and they can't get out of the groove, right? So I think that this is why I think professional coaching skills, and specifically systemic relationship coaching skills, are really important, because it takes that sort of gravitas for someone to be able to come in and work with those leaders to help them see what's going on for them, because most organizational leaders, I believe, are in tremendous pain right now. They have incredible pressure. They are, by and large, not happy. And so helping them understand what is it that has them be in pain, and then what are the ways out of it. I mean, it's actually true, I think, in most cases, that the way we work in Agile and where Agile comes from actually is a way out of it, because it helps us metabolize change without freaking out. They don't necessarily know that, right? But just coming to them and saying, hey, we're doing Agile, so you need to change and be an Agile leader, and here are the 5 characteristics of Agile leaders, get to it. Okay, that's good information, that's a good start. But I think these people need coaching help, essentially.
And that's where I spend most of my time, just helping and supporting leaders through change. Change is hard and it's uncomfortable. And most of these leaders haven't asked for that level of uncomfort. Some of us ask for that level of uncomfort because we want to change, but these leaders haven't asked for this a lot of the time. So how can we help and support them and equip them through that level of uncomfort?
Yeah.
And leadership is, it's not about delegating people. I believe the challenge is to create abundance in terms of really let people feel they have the power, inspire them. It's like the karma, being generous. You have the challenge, you have the talent, you have the vision, make it possible. And the challenge of the leader is to create this environment of abundance in their teams where everything is possible. If they really believe they can do it, go for it. And this is the challenge. And generosity to give them the tools and the environment to make it possible and decide.
I always talk about paradigm shifts. And a paradigm is a perception of how things are. And we have a couple of perceptions, especially in older organizations, by traditional management rule. What happened is that the first one is that if you do something, it has to be perfect. So what you deliver has to be the awesome solution. And the second one is change is dangerous, so we need to keep a stable situation.
Right.
And I was, some time ago, I was at the client site and they had a quote from Winston Churchill on the wall. And I think if you ask me what modern leadership needs to role model, it was what Winston Churchill's supposed to have said is, perfection is not a state, it's an ambition. And to achieve your ambition, you need to change a lot. So the way to success is change all the time, that kind of thing. And so leadership has to facilitate change, has to support it, has to motivate it in a way that people understand that if I deliver something, it might be a fail, and it doesn't have to be perfect the right time, and not even the second or the third or the fourth time. That way, and that's kind of, and you don't see that a lot. And that's the kind of thing that we need from modern leadership. Now, to survive, to have that as a corporate capability, continuous growth and development.
So let me ask you guys a question, because I don't have as much experience with executive teams as you do. I'm just coming out of 10 years of teaching Agile coaches, essentially. So I have a friend, though, who works only with boards of directors. And she is telling me, Lyssa, these people are driven by fear and scarcity, and they are afraid. Yeah. Are you seeing that?
Very often, if you have, for example, a company that is on the stock exchange, that are looking on short-term profits and benefits, the only thing that the board level is thinking about is, okay, how can we get the next month good results so that the shares go up?
I can already feel the anxiety rising in me just by the way you're talking about their situation.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then telling them that an agile cultural change could take up to 5 years when they're being told that they've got to show results in maybe 1-3 months doesn't normally go down very well.
Right.
And that's why the consultancies who can come in and they'll sell you Agile and sell you some practices, maybe something like SAFE, are doing very successful because you can sell that and you can sell some quick wins. But the problem with people selling Agile is people think you can buy it. And those tend to be short-lived and they will fail normally on average within 18 months. The status quo will be back to where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's why they would keep buying the next fad, the next fad, the next fad, the next fad, the next framework, on and on. Yeah, it's maddening.
Really, maybe the point is to clearly define the purpose and to share, no?
Yeah, for sure.
To grow the purpose into people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the last question, and I will let the people ask from the audience, but my last question was regarding how to viralize really this adaptive and innovative mindset. So, because in big companies, even if you have a purpose, even if the vision of the company is well conducted by the leadership, sometimes there are many distance between the last employee and the vision. So how can we viralize this mindset of that the company needs to be innovative, needs to be adaptive to survive?
I actually messed up royally in an organization about a year ago. So I went in and I did some agile mindset training to everyone in the organization. We talked about this mythical agile mindset that we hear quite a lot about. And then at the end of it, they said, oh, that's great. So we can still do waterfall, but we can have this agile mindset. And then I realized, I've missed something here. And what that is that, as I said before, our mindset only changes from seeing actions. So by trying those little experiments, getting some quick wins within the organization, over time, those will change the principles and values of an individual, and then that will change their beliefs. And then my definition of mindset is multiple people with a similar mindset. So the culture is multiple people with a similar mindset. And that only happens over a long time, but it starts with those little practices and seeing those changes and action and positive reinforcement.
Yeah, same mindset, so their behavior moves other, no? In terms of, okay, I'm seeing it's possible, the environment let me go and think and act like this. It's not like, okay, you have to, for sure, do agile. No, you have the opportunity to think and to act and to behave in this way, to fail fast, to adapt, and as people see that this is possible, hey, it's like a viralization effect, no? So maybe it's to create the environment and the communication and collaboration instruments so people could stand this kind of.
I also go back to your metaphor yesterday of like a living organism, and I often use this with organizations who get frustrated. So a living organism, when they breathe, they can only breathe out so far, and then we should expect some contraction before the next breathe out. And we need to allow for that, and it comes back to patience again, that we should see that kind of breathing in and out, and hopefully the out's further than the in. It normally is, but we just see that in everywhere I work.
Yeah.
More patience. Sorry to say it. You have to be pretty patient to watch them breathe in and out.
And maybe it's related with the concept of viscosity. You remember yesterday, because if the organization has a lot of viscosity, it means silos, rules, procedures, the environment that don't let you flow, there's no viralization there. So it's like create the conditions so people really, it's not, okay, I explained you agile, no, I let people feel that really it happens, no? It's not like.
I think the way to go is always that, it's like if you want to have a metaphor, is you open a door, you show what's behind it, but you can't push people through the door.
Exactly.
It doesn't work.
That's right.
Right? People have to make the step themselves, and you can't start. You know, you have to start. You have to stop talking about it. You have to start doing it.
Start doing,
and
and then you'll learn.
Going back to leadership again, you have to facilitate this kind of thing. There's a video from Daniel Pink somewhere on YouTube, and it's from supposed to be a leadership quote. It said, to the workforce, you want to do something interesting, let me get out of your way. That kind of thinking, you know, I facilitate the process so you get time. Instead of pushing work out of you, you get time, you know, and you can innovate whatever you like. But you will see whatever we do, because coming back to the core of your question, whatever we do, some people are into innovation, they like it, they love it, they see the opportunities, and other people need a starting point. They don't start from a green field, right? So you need to accept that you have those different styles of people in your workforce, and you have to find a way to facilitate both ways. I think as a company, the way to start this, you know, way of innovating and that kind of processes in your organization is if you focus on knowledge sharing. You know, we have this thing in old school organizations where personal development is based on a document that you make in November for the next year. And then you can identify 1 or 2 trainings you can go to where you can, you know, maybe learn something. I think learning is a continuous process. This is why we have retrospectives.
Yeah.
But we see too often teams that do retrospectives, they have lessons learned, but managers is not allowing them to do an improvement during work time. They have to do an improvement in overtime because there's so much pressure from the business. And I think this is where the facilitative approach of management comes in, where you say, okay, you know, we know that this kind of development of you as an individual or the team where you're in, that's the key to success. So always we take 10% of the velocity, you know, to spend on improvement. Just an example.
Fully agree. We are on time right now. I would like to say big thank you to all of you. Sorry. A big thank you to all of you to share your deep knowledge with us. And if you have any question, this is the time.
Does it work? Yeah. Guys, you are persons who uplift and inspire others. I'm sure that after your speeches during these 2 days, probably someone went to you and shared with you one of those aha moments. If you had some of that moment sharing something with some specific people or person of the audience, could you share us one of those small? Could you share with us one of those small conversations?
I have one. It was so sweet. I wonder where he is. He came up to me afterwards and said, I have to show you a picture, I have to show you a picture. Because he said, he said, your question is, what are you applying Agile to that's worthy of you? And I have to show you a picture. And it was a picture of a whiteboard that was at low level, like all the way to the floor and here. And it had little pictures of things. And he was showing me his, the Kanban board for his home. And he has 3 children, and the children have little jobs that they do. And what he was telling me is that using that has allowed them to routinize some certain things, like you have to get up and brush your teeth and get dressed and get ready for school. And so the kids have a good time, you know, moving those things along the board, you know. And so it's made it easy for him to get the kids to school, which I don't know. I wish I had known about that when I was a young, you know, mother of a young child. I mean, I felt like I had to wrangle her out of the house every single day to get her to school. So you know, people are already doing amazing things, and so I loved it that he shared that one. Yeah.
I can share. You know, I think if you're an Agilist, you're always looking for opportunities to learn. Mm-hmm. And that means that we are also always looking for opportunities to learn. So when I'm at places like this, I just go through the program and I select what I think is interesting. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. And yesterday I attended a session about systemic coaching. I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, I take this kind of thing, I take it in. And I was, earlier this year, I'm out of development for a while, but there were a couple of super techie guys talking about how you can make really smart code. And I was there and I think I missed maybe 50% of what they were saying. But you get some learnings out there. There's always a learning. There's always a learning.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a conversation early this morning because it was just in this room, a man who told me, hey, I wanted to talk with you because yesterday Arie and you shared with us the Liquid Manifesto, and I believe, and he was a little bit nervous because he's providing me feedback, and he has told me, I believe you have created some kind of model, but I felt like it's its first iteration. And I said, of course it is. It's not a perfect one, so it's completely open to the feedback. And he was providing me this feedback and ideas, and I said, thank you. This is the kind of things we are open for sure, because at the end, everything is connected and it's evolving, and even the models. So,
sorry, we are on time, so please, John, last
well,
sentence.
John's talk's coming up here in a short while.
Yeah, and I think what we've talked about here really kind of builds on that talk later around leadership. I just wanted to share my story from yesterday, and I hope Lyssa doesn't mind me sharing. We got a taxi back last night when we were talking about this discussion today, and Lyssa turned around to me and said, I don't know what I'm going to contribute to that session. And Lyssa is one of the main reasons why I'm sat here now. I read her book so many years ago and it inspired me. And to be sat in a car with someone and them talking in such humility, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to contribute, really reminded me of that importance of grounding and helped me prepare more for my talk today. So thank you, Lyssa.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you, really, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.